Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey everybody, it's me, Tony Vuk. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show.
Yes, we are.
Indeed. We are thrilled because we've got a very, very special set of guests.
Ooh, a pair, if you will.
A pair, yes. Yes, we are stacking our guests just like we do overdrives, right?
There you go.
That's what it feels like. This is a big one, everybody. If you don't know who these people represent, then clearly you've never been anywhere where there's guitar anything.
Yes, that's a fair assessment.
Yes. So, guests, please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, this is Dan Murphy. I'm with Electro-Harmonix. I'm a part of the sales and marketing team here.
And I'm Tom Berta, also with Electro-Harmonix, and I'm in the engineering department.
Right on.
Nice.
We are going to have some really good discussion because there's a release, there's a couple new releases, but there was one in particular that Tony and I just really sat up and took notice of, and we'll get into additionally why we thought that was important. And this is a great way to pull Electro-Harmonix into a podcast discussion, because with a storied history as you have, everybody kind of knows it. I would say most people know it. Mm-hmm. Most people have some semblance of understanding of who the heck you guys are.
Who are these guys?
They're Electro-Harmonix.
Yeah.
Oh,
Indeed.
From New York City.
Yes.
New York City.
Tony with
Never
the low
gets old.
Yeah, Tony with the low-hanging fruit. Hey-yo.
Todd and Tony.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just realized, Tony Todd is the name of the actor who played Candyman. You guys probably heard that before, huh?
This is the first time.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys combined are kind of like a big part of what made up a pretty infamous horror film.
Tony Todd.
They appeared.
Tony. Yeah, you say the actor's name.
And then they appeared.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, strap in, because we've got, not only do we have a great story to tell about some new gear that they've put in, but we've got two four on the floors today. That's always exciting. I love that. Before we get there, we need to know, guys, where can people go check out the things that we're going to be talking about right now?
Well, they can go to ehx.com or shop.ehx.com. And, of course, our YouTube page, where you can see all the demos, and there should be links there to where you can – but, a dealer near you.
Perfect.
You can go to a dealer,
yes.
Sweetwater, Guitar Center, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Dig it.
How about in the social medias?
We're on all of them.
Okay.
I think most of them are either Electro-Harmonix or EHX.
Perfect. Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
People will find it.
You'll find us.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to check out a couple of announcements, guys. We have today, after we finish with these two utes, we're going to give away the second. Actually, it'll be the fourth.
Yes.
Les Paul 70 Years book.
Love it.
Yes, and that's going to be very exciting. So keep your peepers out on the Instas for that announcement. Beyond that, we've got pedals, we've got shirts, we've got all kinds of stuff that we're going to be stringing out along. We don't want to just dump it all like a big cache of stuff.
No.
We need to milk it.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about what's going on in our music worlds this week. Mm-hmm. Starting out with the lovely, the leggy, voluptuous Tanya Bolonsky, the Polish princess, sitting across from me. Tony, why don't you tell us what's going on in your music world, and then we're going to check in with Tom and Dan.
Well, Todd, thank you for that beautiful introduction, I must say.
I've been practicing.
Well, in my week, Music World this week, we just had our Columbus Guitar Show on Sunday, a couple days ago. And it was, I fear that in the next couple of years, guitar shows, except for maybe a handful of really big traditional shows are going to just kind of go by the wayside. I mean,
the silver hairs are waning.
Yeah. It's a true sausage fest most of the day, and an old sausage fest at that.
Yeah.
And it's, the summer show in Columbus is always...
It's hard because everybody's on vacation.
Yeah, the winter show, surprisingly, in January...
That thing's packed.
...is better. I know it's the first show of the year, blah, 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 blah. But, it's just kind of disappointing. And, the traffic wasn't great. The dealers, some of them didn't even bother showing up at this show. So, I don't know.
It was like 100 degrees, too. So,
Well, it was hot. Yeah.
This is an outdoor?
No, it was indoor.
Thankfully not.
Yeah.
But it's it's at a center that they moved to the center about 5 years ago, and it's not the same. We used to have it in a little more convenient location, and it's just I don't know.
I think it's tough because a lot of the people that do end up getting tables are these guys that are bringing out like, oh, here's my $25,000 plus, and it's like, okay, is this really where you're going to buy that? And it's like, if you're just showing them, that's cool, but it's a great place. It's a great avenue, I should say, a vehicle, if you will, to just not charge retail stuff prices for all of your stuff, and to barter and to make deals and stuff on smaller things, or just like, if you're an enthusiast and you got a room full of gear, like, go get a table and just throw it on it. And also you get to have some great interaction with people that not unlike yourselves.
Yeah. Well, that's why I kind of go a lot of times, because there's people that I get to see once or twice a year, really, at these shows, and that part of it's kind of fun, and it's fun to sell a little bit. And honestly, the stuff that I clean out my junk drawers and throw it in and put price tags on it, that's what sells.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people walking out with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 guitars. They're buying the $300 to $500 things.
Yeah.
But, we get
So, you think that these guitar conventions are decreasing in popularity as time goes on?
Oh yeah, it's
There
with the
used
exception
to be a lot more.
With the exception,
how do you feel about NAMM?
NAMM,
we've gone the last couple years, and this last year, it's interesting because people love to kind of throw shade on like the big dogs, right? Because everybody likes to celebrate all the little guys that are out there.
Yeah.
The problem is, when the big dogs aren't there, you lose a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of foot traffic. And this isn't necessarily from the dealers and everything. It's from the people, the enthusiasts that want to come see all their favorite brands and see all this stuff under one roof. And if the foot traffic's not there, then the people who really get hurt are some of the smaller people who, like, that's a lot of money to put up to get that foot traffic.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, even our company is somewhere in the middle there, where we're not enormous, but we're a large company, and you look at like let's say like Fender, kind of bowing out, and it makes sense from a company standpoint. Like, why do they need to? There's no one on earth that doesn't know Fender. They don't need to be there for you to buy their guitar.
Right.
But like you said, the ripple effect of to all the smaller companies, how that affects foot traffic and attendance.
Right.
Big time. And then especially if you have like, well, if they're not going to go, like, geez, why is Gibson going? Well, if Gibson's not going to go, well, why is Marshall not going?
For sure.
Why? It's like, and then it just like starts tumbling, and then it's like, holy moly, that's
Also, like, the influence of like, is that not cool now? Like, if Fender's telling you NAMM's not cool, it's like, well, Fender's not going, right? Like you're saying.
Yeah. I think maybe also just knowing, like, shifting the perspective on it, because originally that was made for the brands to come out and say, here's what we've got for this year, buy it and get it, put it in your stores and all that stuff. So it was an insider industry kind of thing. But the thing is, like, insider industry doesn't explode on Saturday and Sunday. That's like public.
Right.
And the people that are ultimately buying this stuff are the people who really want to actually go there and be there and get their hands on everything and meet the people and everything. I think, like, if they just said, okay, it doesn't make sense for us to go there to like just show the stuff to the people that we're going to, sell to these music
dealers,
stores, the
dealer
dealers.
base.
Yeah. But it's a great opportunity for us to connect with the people who are ultimately getting their hands on the brands.
Yeah.
Spoken like a
For
true
sure.
branding professional.
That's what I do. That is what I do.
Well, the
And
one
was it a public show this year, or was it just public on Sunday? I can't even remember.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday were
Okay.
public shows.
Yeah.
And did I hear that they're even going farther away from that? Like next year, it's just going to be public on Sunday or something, or am I making that up?
I haven't
I don't
heard
know.
that.
The only thing I
Okay.
heard this coming January, well, there's a quasi summer show in Nashville,
yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
almost more of it's not really like a display
I
thing.
think
It's
they're
more
kind
of
of
a
doing like a South by Southwest kind of thing.
yeah, maybe. But I did get an email about next January, and they said they have committed to 100% of the convention center. Now, if you were there this last January, maybe 50% of it was filled.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Wow.
There's some big holes.
yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, it used to take a day just to get your orientation, and then another day to walk through all of the things, and then a third day to kind of pick out the things you wanted to go. I think we knocked that out in
2 days.
Well,
A day and
a half a day
a day and a half.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's tricky. There's no, silver bullet to change all that, and it's just it is important to the rest of the industry because it affects so many people beyond, whatever the big dogs are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also like what we've kind of agreed upon, where because we don't even sell to the public, we sell to dealers, so we don't sell to the end consumer. So there's no profit to be made there. Like, but it really is just and be at the show, like you said,
Yeah.
kind of like in a bigger picture kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully other companies follow suit and see, because there is a lot of value on NAMM and there's importance to it. And, kind of like how you started the conversation talking about this convention that was in Columbus, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like seeing where it is now, how do you help save that, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think, they're just going to have to shift it a little bit. And I mean, hell, if nothing else, just like let people in the door and,
that could be the easiest solution. Yeah.
A taco bowl is $15. So,
Yeah.
Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
one of the times that we were there, I sent a picture actually to your coworker Mike. I saw Mike, obviously the owner of your company, and he was just sitting there by himself, kind of like off to the side of the stand in a chair, and he was just about to take a bite of like a breakfast burrito kind of thing, and I was like, nope. And I jumped in the chair next to him, and I just selfie bombed him. And I'm like, hey! And he was cool about it, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, no, Mike will be wicked cool with fans and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he won't stop eating. I'm sure he'll continue to eat that breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, let's see. While we move on to Dan. Dan, you're on the mic. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what's going on in your music world?
So I don't think there's really much happening, just other than work. I'm trying to think the most music-related thing. Right now I'm trying to shift around some instruments. I'm trying to sell a guitar. I've got a Mexican Strat that is kind of like overlapping on another Strat I have. So I was trying to take off some of the like hardware and mods I did to it, because you're never going to make that money back when you sell it.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you modify a car or something, the buyer doesn't care about what you did. So I had like a nice excuse my language, I forget the name of the bridge. It was Callahan.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Someone, one of the guys here put me on the Callahan. He's like, you got to try it, the bridge, and the block there is like solid, and so it was a nice upgrade. Anyway, so I had to take all that stuff off, and like the tuners and and hopefully I can sell this Strat and make a little bit of money. That's like the most thing would relate to music going on with me, is trying to sell instruments to make more money because I have too many of them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
That's a terrible dilemma.
Yeah. What are you going to replace that with?
Well, oddly enough, you've probably seen it on camera in some of the demos. It's a Schecter kind of like Strat style guitar.
Oh.
And I know, and I feel like a traitor, because like, how could I sell the actual like Fender Strat for a Strat knockoff? But Tom also bought one because it plays so well.
Huh.
It has like a 14-inch radius neck, so super modern and fast, like playing it.
Like Tony in junior high.
and it's and it's just, I don't know, they kind of just, and that's a whole nother conversation with like Fender, like wanting to really, like, I don't want to say like pigeonhole, but they put themselves in a place where they don't want to change anything on their instruments because they can't be untrue to this initial design.
Yeah.
But there's some things it's like just put a tummy cut on the telly. Like, it's okay. No one can see it.
Yeah.
You don't need that big block of wood sticking into your stomach. So I feel like the Schecter one is just like, it plays fantastic, and it's just been modernized, I guess. It has a nice trem system, and then, how many Stratocasters can I have? That's a trick question.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes is the answer.
How many Stratocasters do you have?
Todd has none.
I has none. I'm not a Strat guy.
You looking to buy a Mexican, or you could add one to your collection?
Yeah. Well, we've all got sickness. That's why we have the show. So
I don't think I have any. The one that I wished I would have kept was a Japanese hardtail Strat.
Ooh.
It was like 50s modeled, and I out of all the Strats that I've owned over the years, that's the only one that I said, oh, I really like this one. There's something about that trem. It really shouldn't. It's a nice tremolo. It works well when everything's set up right, but there's something about a hardtail Strat that just really gets me.
Yeah, I think that's also another thing too. Like, I had it like decked, so it'd only go one way. It wouldn't come up.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the tuning instability. But also, much to your point, what you just said, like, it's a sickness. I think this is also my way of just coping with it and feeling better about myself. If I get rid of one, then I'll be like, yeah, it's not so bad. Look, I'm managing.
I can buy two more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, meanwhile, I just bought like 5 new pedals.
Yeah,
I sold one guitar. I'm like, yeah, it works out.
That's how it goes. Tom, how about yourself?
Yes. You guys, see, you wish you still had that Strat, which is why I just go by I never sell anything ever. Which is why my storage facility in the Bronx is as full to the brim. My musical life, if you guys want to come with me.
Where's that located?
I have storage
and what's the passcode to get in?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Also, Tom, you have a storage facility in the Bronx. You got to get a new storage facility.
Well, I do also have a storage facility in the basement of our building, which is full. But if you guys want to my musical week or life really quick, just take a journey with me to my music studio, which is a 4x4 corner relegated to the corner of the living room in my apartment, which is surrounded by baby gates, which the 8-month and 3-year-old have up until last night been unsuccessful to get into. So my musical week this week is going to be completely redoing that little corner where I do
fence.
all the work. Yes. I came home last night and the 70s P bass was on the couch, and the 68 Les Paul, which my father had actually gifted me a little bit over a year ago, was kind of half cocked in the stand and half fallen onto the chair. I was like, okay, then we got the 3-year-old learned how to get open the gate. So that's what my musical life is consumed with.
But maybe the 3-year-old also learned the pentatonic scale while you were gone. You don't know.
No, he doesn't know that yet, but he does. Okay. I really love it. He does accidentally hit the string, and it'll vibrate, and then he'll hum the same pitch. So that kind of makes my heart melt a little bit there. That's
impressive. Yeah.
That's really cool.
You got yourself a regular Mozart on your hands.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd? What's going on in your world?
Well, mine. So we left the show.
Yes.
The guitar show.
You left the show.
I left the show.
I stayed there.
You stayed there. And I actually said, well, not on my way home at all, but conveniently located in a place that I can go to. There's a great record store in town, amazing record store. It's called Used Kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I started in on the new used ones, and they had just gotten a couple of huge lots where from like entire record stores have shut down. And this one, they were just unloading all these things from, I believe this, it must have been a press company or a PR, something. It was all these like one-off live recordings in these.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm thumbing through. I'm like, Toy Dolls 77. What? Not Toy Dolls, but I like the Toy Dolls. The New York Dolls.
Oh.
And there was like a whole bunch of Bowie shows and stuff. And so someone recorded the live shows.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I started listening to a few of them, and there's just terrible sound quality. But I picked out two randomly, not in sequence or anything like that, from these random bins. And one was the Cars 78, and I really dig the Cars. And then I picked up Cheap Trick 78.
Hell yeah!
And the Cheap Trick one had never been opened. It was sealed, and these are both German bootlegs. And I do a little bit of research while I'm listening to them at home, and the sound quality on both of them is actually really good, especially considering where these were. They were. What I came to find out is they were both touring together. Cheap Trick opened for the Cars at the Paradise Theater in Boston.
Oh, wow.
So I randomly picked up two albums that were actually recorded the very same night.
Maybe Tom Scholz recorded them.
Oh my gosh. I like, it was such a cool experience, and we just, like my family, we just sat around, and because you can hear all the crowd and everything, and the Cars actually go, they played, it was probably just what I needed. And there's a bunch of applause, but you can hear individual people applauding. So it's not like an arena. And he said, and they're like, oh, so you guys have heard of us a little bit, I mean, they had just released two monster albums.
Oh, yeah.
The Cars and Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool to listen to the heat was on with both of them, and it was great.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, that's cool.
That was a really fun
totally
thing.
at random, you picked
Totally random.
two from the
How
same
much did you
show.
pick them up for?
They were about $35 a piece.
No way.
And these are one-offs.
Damn. Nice score, man.
They don't. I mean, where are you going to get that? Nowhere.
Yeah.
That's where.
I guess nowhere other than
Todd's house.
Germany.
Yeah, my house. Located right next to the place in the Bronx with all the guitars. So, anyways, it was great fun. You know what? If you've got a couple albums, you may not have to string them together with cables, but if you did have to string them with cables, such as like pedals, you probably want to go
Such as Electro-Harmonix
pedals, you need to get yourself some Tour Gear Designs patch cables out of Canada. These patch cables, we've been talking about them for ages, everybody, and that's because they are fantastic.
Yes, they are.
We love them.
We use them.
We use them. We use lots of them. And the coolest thing about it is they come in multiple configurations. So you got a C shape and you got a S shape. What's an S shape for? Well, if you got a side mount and you need to go into a top mount, instead of twisting and bending your cables, they've already figured that out. And also, it's ribbon, so it's nice and slim. You can get more pedals on your board.
Yes. What about the ends?
The ends, the actual plugs are
the size,
the same diameter,
the circumference,
as the actual jack. The radius.
In other words,
geometry.
if you use these Tour Gear Design patch cables, you can probably sneak an extra pedal or two on your board.
For sure. Anyways, and also the best thing of all, they're incredibly affordable.
Oh, yes.
And almost indestructible. Tony tried his best to ruin one.
Actually, I did.
Did you ruin it?
No, I did not ruin it. I tried to.
Yeah,
I tried to destroy it. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, go over to tourgeardesigns.com, load up a whole bunch in your cart, and then when you check out, go into the coupon code and put in the guitar knobs, all one word. You're going to save 15% on that order, okay?
15?
15.
1.5.
No, 1.5.
And they're already affordable.
They are. Thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring a 4 on the floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to find out from Dan Murphy of Electro-Harmonix what his 4 on the floor are.
Okay. So now, is it ideal that the 4 on the floor like would work well together? Or
Nope.
It could be like 4 reverb pedals.
Whatever you want to do.
And this is like desert island kind of thing. Like if I had 4, like what would it be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Assuming you had
So-
electricity on the desert island.
Right. Well, I would say, well, first of all, it's puts me in a difficult place because they're immediately going to be 4 Electro-Harmonix pedals. However, considering the rules, I guess I have to pick different pedals.
Yes.
I would say the Strymon Flint would be easily my first grab. That one is fantastic. I've loved it ever since I got it. I probably first got my hands on one maybe like 5 years ago. So kind of late to the game. The pedal had already been out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I
So
think,
we've had that one. So many people have said that, but what is it
bet.
for you that does it?
So for me, like I'm a huge fan of like spaghetti westerns and that kind of sound.
Oh yeah.
It's not even like surf music, although like surf and like that spaghetti western kind of thing kind of go hand in hand, like the just drenched in reverb and slow trem or quick photocell trem, like square wave, like choppy.
Yeah.
And it's also just super intuitive. Like it's not difficult to figure out. I know it has the secondary features. Like I think if you hold both the foot switches, one becomes like a boost. Like you can boost like 12 dB, and I forget what the other one does. So I haven't even like cut into it that hard. I kind of just leave it on Hall, and then the tremolo is usually on the like the harmonic trem. I forget what they call it, but it's like the old brown face kind of Fender trem. And that one is like just good because you can always use reverb. Like I already use too much reverb on everything. Like, don't we all?
Yeah.
And the trem is like kind of for me, a trem, especially harmonic trem, is a good like catch all like modulation. Like sometimes if you just have that movement going, you almost can't even pinpoint what it is. You're like, is that chorus or is that a vibe? Like it's just something is moving.
Right.
And I kind of like that it can be subtle. So that I don't think it's ever left my board since I bought it. So
You don't strike me as a subtle guy.
No, no. Well, I don't know because I gotta pick and choose.
Yeah.
I will be more aggressive with other effects, but that one I try to be subtle with.
Yeah.
After that, to stay in the same vein, it would probably be a Strymon El Cap, an El Capistan.
Oh yeah.
And same thing, I was super late to the party on that. I'd always heard everyone talk about it just being a really good delay pedal. And having messed around with a lot of delay pedals, and honestly, like the Memory Man being one of my favorite, because I like that modulate delay. And that's kind of ultimately originally what the Deluxe Memory Man was aiming at with the modulation, was like trying to mimic like a worn tape, right? The warm saturated kind of repeats. So, why not go direct to the source? But although there is something to be said about Bucket Brigade, like analog delay, it is much different than like an algorithm or like, a digital delay that's emulating something organic. But that pedal does that very well. And then also it kind of has like the faux looper thing where you can put it on a certain like headset and to where it just records, and it's kind of like having like a really short looper on your board if you just like want to mess around and not have to have a looper on your board. And actually like what I'm telling you for my 4 on the floor is almost like my pedal board because I don't play with a lot of pedals. I try to keep everything very minimalistic. Next would be, so there's this really cool pedal I just kind of discovered a couple months ago. It's called, I think it's from, I'm trying to think, Spruce Effects.
Spruce Effects. We've had them on the
show.
show.
Oh yeah, wicked cool stuff. And the pedal is called the Arborist.
Yep.
It's the one with like the axe on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I came to find that pedal because always doing like an endless like overdrive pedal hunt, right? Because there's so many overdrives. But I really love the Benson preamp, and what I loved about it is the same thing I think everyone loved about it, is it cleaned up super well. It was very organic and dynamic and touch sensitive, and being like transistor based. And so I got really like obsessed with finding overdrives that are like, well, transistor based, but also like not really smooth. Like sometimes my favorite overdrive is a fuzz pedal, like cleaned up, like backed off a little.
Yeah.
Where you get like Mick Ronson. It's like this weird kind of like aggressive, but it's not like full on fuzz. So that effect, and I think almost everything Spruce does is kind of in that vein, like really gritty and hairy. So this is like a pedal. They market it as like an overdrive, but it totally has like fuzz character to it. Like you play it, you're like, that is hairy and loose and woolly and buzzy and like, you know what I mean? All the characters that a fuzz would have, but it's like low gain at the same time. And it cleans up fantastic with your volume knob. So that was a pedal right now that I'm going to say that one. And then finally, I'd say a tuner. No, I'm just kidding. I would say finally, for a fuzz pedal, I am playing a Basic Audio Orpheum. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with John Lyons from Basic Audio.
Yeah, we had him on a show.
Oh, cool. You guys had everyone on the show.
Yes. Well, now we've had everyone.
That's what we've been trying to tell you, Dan.
We're approaching 400 episodes, and we're like, geez, isn't there anybody else out there?
I haven't seen every
What's the
episode
CHX
yet.
company, anyways?
I'm still catching up on the episodes, guys. I didn't get to the John Lyons one. But anyway, so you guys, I don't need to tell you. The guy makes every fuzz under the sun. And the Orpheum is based on an old pedal that was like, I think it was called the Orpheum or like the Clark Fuzz. And harkening back to like what I was saying before about the Flint, it actually really does like the spaghetti western kind of like tinny, buzzy kind of fuzz really well. Because I'm trying to think what's the name of the other. There's another popular fuzz. You know, all those fuzzes from like the 60s are just rebranded and named over and over again. There was another name for it, and I can't think of the name, the more popular name. It wasn't Orpheum. But anyway, it's an iteration of that. But it's germanium based, really like buzzy, but it cleans up very well. So that's kind of the thing with both overdrives and fuzz that I always try to find. It's something that I can just like lean onto my volume knob of my guitar to like, is it overdrive? Is it just blown out boomy fuzz? Like, so yeah, that's one pedal I've had for a couple years now, and I still love it. Sounds great.
Awesome. I do need to make a correction. I jumped out the gate too fast. I was thinking of BSRI Audio, that's a Baltimore Sonic Research. I just jumped out to that because I was all excited. I was like, hey, there's another one. And we haven't had Basic, so we're going to have to get them on. Yeah.
You guys got to get him on. I think he's in like Virginia or something.
I'm on it.
He's super cool. Not that you guys are going to go out to Virginia to interview him, but but still.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool tip. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We'll go to Tom.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, so we can, I think Dan ended with the fuzz, so why don't we start with the fuzz?
Cool.
My favorite fuzz, and I knew this from, you guys said, like, remember where you got it from and all that. My dad plays guitar, and this was just one of the pedals that he had, and I just kind of knew it in my high school years as this big, giant pedal with the big, it was this ugly thing with the orange triangle on it. And I didn't even realize until after college, coming back from that, it was a Maestro Brassmaster.
Yeah.
And man, I would plug that thing in to I had a Fender Twin at the time. This was in high school. And that was just like, holy moly. It kind of reminded me of the Fender, the fuzz phase Hendrix sort of sounds, but like it different. Like, so I don't know. I just got along with that thing. And it wasn't until after I came back from college, or maybe it was like one of the summers in college, I think. And I said, Dad, where's that, the fuzz with the orange triangle? He said, well, it stopped working. Okay, so where is it? Well, I think I threw it out.
No.
So it's gone. I'm not kidding, guys. It's gone.
Oh, no.
So my memory of that fuzz was just a short window, but, years and years later, I did buy the Helix Pod. Remember that? I think the bean, the PO.
Oh yeah, the kidney bean.
X3, because they had I don't know if this was the first version of it or not, but they had a pedal called the Bronze Master in it, and it was based off that. And I'm happy to say that I think that does a good job to my memory replacing it. So that's my favorite fuzz is the Brass Master. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to try one of those, but that is just the nastiest thing I ever heard.
I haven't, but I bet if you go to the Bronx and get a truckload out of there, you can go get one.
Yeah, you might be able to afford one.
I doubt it. I know it's not there. It's gone. It's one of those things, and it's actually.
I just Googled it, Tom. I see it.
It's $2,500.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm looking
at. Yeah, see, that's I'll stick with the X3. I bet I could find the X3 out of the Bronx storage, the pod.
You could buy an awful lot of kidney bean pods.
Yeah.
And that actually would tie in a similar story. My second floor on the floor here, or whatever, is I'll throw another pedal that I grabbed from my dad. I took it to college with me, so he wasn't going to throw it away. Is the Boss DM2, the early versions. I don't. So here's what happened with this one. I brought it back from college and then left and then came back. Dad, where's that purple Boss? I don't know what you're talking about. He had no idea, and there's it's nowhere to be found again. So I don't know what version or anything like that, but I know it was one of the early DM2s, and I used that throughout college as my analog delay, and that just for me, I think maybe it was like me learning how to use delay. So like when I went to replace it after he didn't have it, I tried a bunch of stuff, and it was I could never almost like get that what I remembered, to be that kind of like fluffy pillow underneath you. So anyway, Boss DM2.
All right. Hey, before you go any further, Tom, I want to maybe this will make you feel a little bit better. I just found a Maestro Brass Master replica, like DIY kit with the enclosure, $65.
Kidding. Oh, that's much more reasonable.
Yes. I'll put the link in the box, the little text box here for you.
That's cool.
There you go.
Is it the same similar like shape, or is it a different vibe?
It's a bent enclosure, so
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do what you like with that.
Yes.
Okay, number 3.
Okay, number 3. Yeah, so a pedal that does not leave my board ever. It doesn't matter what guitar, what amp, what the backline is, what the room is like. I mean, the Exotic Effects RC Booster. Oh, yeah. I love it. It's like the right pedal for anything. Pick single coils, humbucker, whatever. It hasn't left my board since I bought it. Years ago, actually, at Rogue Music, which is on 30th Street in New York City, and I walked into the place. It's a used store, and it had been there for 5 minutes. And the guy that sold it to the store was a New York City guitarist. His name was Oz Noy. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Oz. It's fantastic New York City guitarist. And I was actually at the time playing not in a band with him. I was the guy playing guitar for him when he wasn't there in the band, so it was perfect. I picked that up, and I turned it on, and it was kind of like, oh, this just made everything sound better, and it's always like that. So Exotic Effects RC Booster, that's a good one.
Number 4.
Yeah, so 4. In college, I had a friend who was really into Fish. He had the Fish the band. He had
several koi.
He had the Ross compressor, and he turned it on, and again I was like, "Oh, can I borrow that?" And he was like, "No, you can't."
Now, did that one have the plug built into it still?
No plug.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's like I'd have to dig it out of the storage, but it's. And the different versions of it, I'm not sure, but it's got the writing on the back. I don't know. I think I had a good one. But anyway, when my friend told me, no, you can't borrow it. That's part of my sound. So I said, all right, I'll just go out and buy one myself. So that lived on my board for a long, long, long time. And I really like how compressed, but it also how it just is not totally 100% transparent. It like gives you a little bit of tone, and so I just got so used to that, and that was on my board with everything until maybe 5-6 years ago now. When you're getting ready to hit record in the studio and everybody's in the same room, you're all wearing headphones, your amps are all at different spots or whatever. Right before we were about to track, the other guitar player says, "Wait, I hear a buzz." Nobody knows where it's coming from, but I had some inkling. I just stepped down on that Ross, and there it goes. Okay, buzz is gone. Let's go. And since that point, I haven't looked into fixing that noise. So,
Tom, you work in a room. You work in a room surrounded by 8 other engineers. I could probably open that pedal up and fix it in 5 minutes.
And they're back, right? The Ross compressor. They just came out with they relan the line or whatever.
I think JHS has something to do with that. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
Didn't
I don't know.
Buy the rights or something?
I'm not sure, but yeah, 4 on the floor. There you go. The Ross compressor. I'm throwing it there.
All right, Dunsky. That's a good set you guys both have.
Yeah,
really good
fun stuff.
Super fun.
Cool. Yeah.
We might actually pick up one of these Brassmaster replica kits just to put together for fun over here, man.
Oh man, it'd probably be fun, but if it sounds anything like it, it's awesome.
Good. All right.
What does it sound like, Tom?
Kind of like a fuzz face when you turn it down. I'll turn the volume down on a neck pickup on the fuzz face, but like more angry.
Ah, cool.
More angry.
Okay. More angry than a fuzz face.
Yes. Interesting. Well, guys, we need to talk about some other cool pedals because you have just released. You're always releasing new stuff, but it's actually been like there's a little bit of a lull in the releases. But the reason that we finally reached out, it wasn't because we didn't want you on the show before, but we just were like, well, what's going to be the hook? And what I kind of nodded to at the beginning of the show, ladies and gentlemen out there listening, is that there was a pedal that came up as a brand new release, and I was really excited about it. And now one can say, wait a minute, it's a Boost. Why would you get excited about Boost? This is the LPB 3, and it's loaded with options. And the reason that I got excited about this is that because I realized this is the way in to get EHX on the show because of the history of that pedal. So I'm going to let the actual people who put this thing together talk a little bit about what this is. So, gentlemen, enlighten us.
Yes. Tom, do you want to go? Do you want to take the floor?
Sure. I'll go first, and you can jump on in. So the LPB3, it's obviously the third of the linear power boost family, although it's actually not because there are more than 3 versions of that. But it's a fantastic boost pedal with all up to a walloping 33 decibels of boost. But even more than that, it's a super powerful EQ that I think before I mentioned the 4 on the floor, the RC booster was one of my. It never left. Well, I mean, it could it could leave now. It's just this thing can cover any type of tonal real estate that you could imagine, and it does. You mentioned the options; it's packed full of features. So, just a really good, solid pedal with a lot of options and a lot of history there. So, I mean, a lot to unpack, really. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, we both got a chance to play extensively. Like Tom said, I think the biggest selling point or the most unique thing about this third iteration is definitely the EQ. Having the parametric mids control, like he said, can pretty much place you wherever you want to be EQ-wise, like in a mix. And 33 decibels of boost, I mean, I don't know, how much more boost you could need. So it definitely, like you were kind of talking about before we started the show here, that like that's kind of an everything boost. Like what more, and at a great selling point too, or a price point. I mean.
Oh yeah. I mean, these are retailing at $130.
Yeah. So to go from like the original, plugged into your guitar, like just a dip switch, to like having one knob, and now to where it is on this third version is just, it's gonna be hard to make a fourth version.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be hard for anybody to beat, I think. I mean, if you know, let's talk about you mentioned the boost, so you've got a toggle switch that gives you 33 dB or 20 dB.
Yep.
And then you also have another toggle switch to the right of that, which is a high and a low Q.
Right. For the Q to help either focus in a more narrow width or more broad and less focused for the mids.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So that's working independently of the EQ, which we'll get into in a second. But what was the I guess the genesis of saying, hey, we need this switch on here?
So Tom would probably have a little more insight into that because he's working closer with the engineers. Tom?
Yeah, so I think so exactly, I can't speak exactly to it, but I think probably what we generally look at is, okay, here's the idea, and what kind of chassis is it going to be in, and how many controls are we looking at, and then we look at the chassis that we already have, and sometimes it, like this one has 6 knobs and 2 switches. So sometimes you match the features to the product. So if it's a boost pedal, it's got the instead of volume, it's actually an interesting little thing. Instead of calling it volume, we call it boost because it's the linear power boost. So we keep that true. That's from 1968 on, using a boost instead of volume on that product. But it's just, what could benefit this product the most? And I think we go through a lot of different discussions and trying things and back and forth, and the 20 dB 33 dB switch came about when we realized that at 33 dB it was great for pushing an amp and of getting to the level that you want to saturate your amp for, but it wasn't as good for fine tuning like a clean boost or just tweaking the EQ a little bit for a cleaner setting. So we put that 20 dB switch in, and it really works wonders for the more subtle type of boost or subtle type of EQ effects, whereas if you want to just boost your amp into that nice sweet spot, the 33 dB switch does wonders. And the Q switch, I mean, when you're throwing a parametric mid EQ on there like that, just the ability to be able to broaden or sharpen that point of either pushing or cutting those mids goes a long way for not just guitar but really any instrument. And one thing I do want to mention, which is crazy how we keep the price so low, is the internally boosted power rails on this product are top quality, and it really can give you the gain that you would need with the headroom that is required. So this boost is top notch, and for the price, I mean, it just can't be beat, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right, because it does have an independent, like a master and a gain, a pre. So you could, I mean, in a way, even like push this as if it is an overdrive. Like it will clip on its own.
Wow. Well, that's we'll mosey through some of these things here. Now, for those that don't know, we have a lot of our audience that we've got everybody from people who've been playing like their entire life to who are just starting out. Help us understand what Q is.
I'll let Tom take that one.
Okay, so it's just basically the bandwidth, or like how much or how thin or wide you want to push or pull frequencies. So imagine if you're looking at like, I don't know if I can describe it this way. Like if you're looking at an EQ on a screen, well, no, that's probably too advanced for the beginners, right? So it's just a peak of frequencies either being pushed up or down, either being wide or thin. Okay. And a wide bandwidth helps kind of get a broader range of frequencies to, in a more mellow way, probably exaggerate or tame. And the narrow Q would be much more sharp and precise on certain frequencies that would be pushed or pulled. And it's an EQ that's not just for guitar pedals. This is EQ that spans all types of products and ranges and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's one of the things that I always like to illuminate. Like, hey, here's something that we can either just accept for face value, or we can learn something. So that's always great to hear. So you got in your top row, we've got boost, which we already talked about, being the volume, and then you've got your treble over on the right, and then we got bass. Now those are your three, like what you would typically see on a low level EQ or a regular kind of overdrive or something like that. But it gets really interesting because, as you've already mentioned, we've got not one but two mid controls. Can you talk about these?
Sure. Yeah, it's a parametric mids section, and it has two controls. One is labeled mid frequency, and one is labeled mid level. And mid frequency selects literally which frequency you're at, meaning in the mid range. I don't know, the specs are, I forget what the three. Dan, you remember what it is?
I think it's 230 hertz to 3.3 kilohertz.
Right. So in the middle of your sound, you can sweep the frequency range to anywhere in between there. And with the level, by turning it clockwise, you would boost that area, or if you rotated counterclockwise, you would cut that area. So you are able to boost or cut specific mid-range frequencies, which is a lifesaver for so many different types of instruments.
Oh, yeah.
And it just is so handy. Like one of the things, I think we can talk about this now, even though it's not out yet. We had the main demo released, and the product is just shipping now, the LPB3. But after we did that main demo, Mike Matthews, the owner, he wanted an acoustic guitar demo. And so, you plug it in with an acoustic guitar, you find the frequency, the mids where it's real boxy, and then you just turn it down, and all of a sudden you have an EQ pedal for your acoustic guitar, and it works.
Wow.
So super, super handy. It would be great for keyboards. It would be great for anything. And let alone being a boost, it's just a powerful EQ.
Yeah, and that treble and bass also is cut in boost, so you can cut those as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you have a pedal, I've got actually one of my favorite overdrives at home that just sounds real dark, and it doesn't. I want to use it. I'm like, it just doesn't jive with like what the rest of the thing is doing. But this is something that could actually help that out.
Or even a good application is even just switching guitars. Like every time I play like a Strat, and then I'm at home, like, I'll plug a humbucking guitar in, and you got to redial everything. You got to redial everything in, and not that not that necessarily I want my Telecaster Deluxe to sound like a Strat, but sometimes it just makes it easier to just give it a little nudge in one direction, like brighten it up a little or whatever.
Yeah. Brighten it, darken it, warm it, whatever you feel like you need to do there.
And Todd, you mentioned stacking it with your overdrive. It would do exactly what you want. It brighten it up if you find the sweet spot, for sure. One of the things I had fun with playing around with is finding the frequency of other overdrives. Like I found the Tube Screamer frequency and put it on in front of a Big Muff, and it could be just like a Tube Screamer in front of a Big Muff. Found the Klon frequency, threw it in front of the Big Muff, same thing. So it could act as those type of frequencies. It's not clipping like those pedals, but it could serve the purpose of stacking those types of pedals for sure.
Yeah. Indeed. And then you got the pre-gain, which is also a unique thing to have on, a boost pedal.
That is that's basically pre-gain or volume or boost going into the EQ before the EQ, and basically the boost and the pre-gain work together to kind of give you maximum effect. If you were switched up to 33 dB and you had the boost and pre-gain maxed out, you would be at 33 dB.
Wow.
So you kind of have some tweakability below that. And yes, we've done it. Gino Maestano's engineer on that one, and we were in the video room. We had the MiG-50 set up with a 4x12 greenback, and I looked at him. I remember I said, "Should we turn it all the way up?" And he said yes. So of course I had the earplugs in though, but we did it. But anyway, so yeah, the boost and the pregame kind of work together. If you have them both dimed, then you're getting your maximum of 33 or 20. But rarely you don't need. I mean, it's just you don't need that much boost.
Yeah. So for a pedal like this, have you? Obviously you guys as an engineer, you've put this through all the paces and everything. What is your preference? Is this something you want to put before the rest of your drive pedals, or after, or both, or what do you think?
Oh yeah, so that's the thing. It could be anywhere. It really is kind of a Swiss Army knife pedal. It could be in front of the boosts, just like driving them. It's also selectable buffer or true bypass. So if you want to buffer at the beginning of your signal or at the end of the signal, there you go. There's a reason to buy two of them. You can have one at the front and one at the end, and you can have one in the middle for
3 to be safe.
So yeah, I mean, it's really it could go anywhere. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's no rule with this. It could be a boost or EQ to anything, and of course it got along with all drive pedals before and after it. I mean, it's clean gain. So use as you will.
Now, you mentioned the true bypass or buffer on this. Now, let's talk about, we can assume what all of that stuff means, but I always think it's good to go over because if anything, all right, so the two arguably most commonly debated and talked about things in guitardom are compression and true bypass or buffer.
Yes.
And part of the reason is that you hear it and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then you forget all about it. And you go like, wait, why was the thing? What was the thing? So just a quick refresher course for everybody. Like, what is the benefit of putting this into true bypass or buffer?
Well, I would say having the option is entirely up to you. So you don't have to die on that hill. You could be either camp. You could, but if you wanted the buffer, it would just be to help push your signal along. If you had a long signal chain, a long pedal board, so you don't get kind of that tone suck where you're going to lose high end.
Mm-hmm.
And true bypass, well, that would just be if you're a purist and you're like, hey, I don't want anything touching my tone. I want it to sound organically how it should sound by the time it gets to my amp. And having the ability to switch it is entirely up to you. I think that's my take on it.
That sounded good with like a little bit of accent in there. You just you gave it a little bit of extra push with the New York there.
Did I?
I don't want anybody touching my tone. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm really trying to sell you on it. You guys, you got to listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and depending on what you might want, true bypass versus buffered, it sort of almost depends on what you're doing. I mean, granted, this is kind of like, I mean, I don't know, I'll call myself a nerd, but for talking about this nerd talk, maybe, but like 90% of people, most players, it won't matter if it's true bypass or buffered, it's put it wherever. But if you really want to know what's going on a little bit, the buffered, it would give you a little bit of a buffered boost to the signal. So if you have it in the beginning of your signal chain, it could strengthen the signal from your guitar to the pedal board. If you had Dan mentioned the long cables or lots of different patch cables, lots of pedals, if you have a buffer on in the middle of that signal, it can also strengthen there. Same thing at the end of the signal. If you want to strengthen the signal from the end of your pedal board to the amp connection, that can be great in buffered. And why you wouldn't want buffered is, Dan mentioned purist, but so when the pedal is off, essentially you're in true bypass mode, meaning it's unaffected or untouched. It just travels straight through. And sometimes other pedals don't get along with buffered pedals. Like I'm going to give you a little secret here, actually. The Lizard Queen, which is not a pedal that we just released, that's different. That's the Lizard King. The Lizard Queen is a very old school fuzz and doesn't sound as good when it's placed next to buffered pedals in the signal chain with it. So how would you know that? Well, almost you wouldn't unless you tried and heard, or it was something you were thinking to look for. Sometimes fuzzes or old type school fuzzes don't get along with buffers, so maybe you would want true bypass in that sense. Or there's really no right or wrong here. You just, if you found it sounded worse with it switched one way, that would probably be not the way to go, I would imagine, for me. But so maybe that's a little bit more helpful with the true bypass buffered.
Yeah. No, that's all information is good information, and I appreciate you going through that. Now, I mentioned that one of the reasons we got excited about this is like this is it's been a long road to the LPB3. Starting with the very first one. Yeah, number one. Mm-hmm. If you're counting backwards, that's number one.
And a few pedals in between there.
Yeah, exactly. And
was there ever an LPB2?
There was.
Yep. Okay, I don't remember that one.
There was also an LPB tube. That's TUB.
Oh, yeah.
Tubes.
I remember that with the preamp tubes in it.
And then we have the Nano LPB1 in the Nano chassis. And
yep.
Oh, you know what the LPB2 was? It was the same exact thing as the LPB1, except in a foot stomp box chassis rather than the plug-in mode.
Right.
Same circuit.
Yeah, so help me. What the genesis of this? Like you've gone through like 1, 2, 3. Was there a consideration of like, hey, how many people? Raise your hand if you want a new version of the LPB. Right, and internally, I'm just going like, this is a big push, and you guys nailed it, and I'm really, really excited for this. But this doesn't seem like the thing that gets offered up on the table, and everybody goes, "Yay, let's do this."
I'm not totally 100% privy to how this number 3 came about, but it could have been like Mike Matthews deciding himself that he wanted to advance the line and do another version with more features, or it could have been it could have come out of an engineering product meeting and suggested to Mike or something like that. But Mike is in charge. He runs the show. It was definitely his decision to do it. But I would actually just be guessing if I was telling you exactly how it came about. Yeah. This particular one. Some I could probably know about, some other ones not.
Was it something that when it did come across your table, like I'm sure some things that come across the engineering table you guys get really excited about, and maybe not so much others, or I don't know.
I guess you could say that. Let me see if I can walk myself back to what I felt when I first met the LPB3. Yeah, I mean, at 33 dB, cool. I mean, it was a boost. I mean, I think we deal with like it's so many different types of products here that a boost kind of EQ pedal is not the wackiest of ideas. So it was probably just let's check this out, see how it goes, kind of thing.
Okay, so you have a couple other things going on. You've got a brand new release called the Lizard King. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Lizard King is the predecessor to the Lizard Queen. And basically, we saw a lot of success with the Lizard Queen, which was in collaboration with Josh Scott from JHS and Daniel Danger, the graphic designer. That was great. And I think Mike wanted to try to elaborate on that and do something that was maybe a little more flexible than just a 3-knob. So with this one, we added, a tone control, a blend control, just something that would be a little more maybe even geared towards other instruments like bass being played in a lower register, or a baritone, let's say. Tom, what do you think about expanding on that?
Yeah, so when the Lizard Queen came out, that was a vintage style octave fuzz, guitar player. That's what you don't think so much bass player at all. I happened to do a scene in the demo where I threw it in parallel with the clean using a Switchblade Pro, and it sounded pretty good. And there were a few comments in the YouTube saying, it sounded pretty good. And so Mike said, let's send one to Nate Navarro. Nate Navarro is a fantastic bass player who did a demo on the Lizard Queen in parallel with the Switchblade Pro, I think. And from that, like, Mike just decided, this sounds fantastic on bass. Let's just put all that into one pedal. And so it's the Lizard King is a octave fuzz distortion, whatever, that is optimized for bass guitar players for low register playing, and it also sounds great on guitar.
Outstanding. Yeah, I started to see like a lot of bass stuff, and I said, "Oh, okay," because I was familiar with the Lizard Queen, but interesting.
Yeah. So it's funny too, because as it came to be, I think that was the initial idea of its inception, was going to be like a bass version, but then I think it kind of started to kind of cover both basses where it overlapped. Where like, well, it sounds really good on guitar still. So on the pedal, it does not say, bass octave fuzz. It just says like octave fuzz, because it can certainly still sound excellent on guitar. So it's kind of its own animal, I guess.
So
and the one thing that is I guess really different about the Lizard King is that it's got a built-in clean blend. So it's a fixed gain fuzz, so it's always on 10 or all maxed out fuzz or whatever. So it really limits the I guess versatility of the pedal. But with the clean blend, you, as a bass player, you could still retain your low end and mix it in or as little or as much as you want to for a lot of different types of tone and versatility. And as far as guitar playing goes, you can retain some of the just clarity of your guitar. So it's a handy feature for a fuzz, and one that might actually surprise you a little bit.
Yeah.
What about the there's a little mini toggle in between the knobs, the sun and shadow switch? What does that do?
the sun and shadow. Well, it's brighter or darker.
Well, that makes
we could also use this for a teaching moment, right? So the sun mode is fantastic. The designer on this, engineer Corey Clifton, came up with a brilliant idea where when you switch it into sun mode, the mid range is boosted on the octave fuzz itself, and the low and high end, the treble and bass frequencies of the clean signal accessed from your blend control is boosted also. So what happens is the octave fuzz slides into this middle pocket that is just awesome. I mean, when you're grinding away on a bass and you turn that thing on and you find the right kind of pickup setting, you're just like, it's like, wow, kind of thing. And then so it's a fantastic idea. It boosts the mids and the clean bass and treble frequencies. And when you're in shadow mode, it's just the fuzz is unaffected, and so is your clean blend. So it's a smoother fuzz, maybe I don't know. Yeah, just a little bit different tone. So like enhanced tone both ways sounds cool. Just a little bit different.
That's super cool. That right there made me say, I want to get that from my bass player.
well put, Tom. I'm about to go buy one now.
Yeah. It's a really cool thing. And I think on the original Lizard Queen pedal, the shadow sun control was just a dial that was essentially kind of a tone like control sort of, but a sort of subtle. So Corey really did a cool a thing here designing that feature, and because it's totally new for the Lizard King. And I was mentioning that it's also, this pedal, I don't want to, as a bass player myself, sort of, I could appreciate how bass players would want things for bass players, and this is definitely that. However, man, that feature also happens to sound really cool on the neck pickup of the Strat when you turn it down a little bit. It's a fantastic pedal, just expanding on the Lizard Queen sound.
Yeah, and also, if I may chime in, what's cool about having on this one, not only you can control the amount of octave, right? So you can roll it all the way down and just have it be a straight up like fuzz pedal.
Yeah.
Is you can push the octave up, roll the octave on, and then bring the blend down. So, and like Tom's saying, if you roll back on the volume on the guitar, you get that really cool, almost like what a clean guitar sounds like with an octave on it, like with the like that like ring moddy thing. Like it sounds really cool. So it definitely, it's not just a one trick pony. You can definitely do a few different sounds if you start to kind of dig into it and look at the options like that.
Man, you guys are making it impossible not to get this, especially for $129. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's a good price point. Yep.
And I did mention real quick before I mentioned something with the buffer on not getting along with certain fuzzes, like the Lizard Queen. Well, that is not the case for the Lizard King. The buffer pedals will get along with the Lizard King.
Nice. Yes, good.
So if you're a fuzz purist thinking, I can't buy that thing, it doesn't get along with my buffered Corey Wong compressor over here. Nope, it does. It does.
Dig it. Now, here's a segue if you've ever heard one. Does this come in the Pico mode?
You mean the size of the chassis?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Got it.
It would be the Lizard Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Hey, you just sold that one already.
Yeah, I think it's already in the works.
It's in the works.
Get on that, Tom. So that was my sly way to get you to tell us a little bit about, you've got a whole bunch of what you're calling Pico pedals, which is, we're familiar, everybody's familiar with a mini size pedal, but it seems like this is a little bit of a different thing.
So we kind of spoke about it a little bit before we started. The Picos is definitely a good thing to touch on because we rolled them out about a year ago now in like 2 different waves. Like we released, I think, like one on its own, then another, and then the rest of them all together. So it kind of came out as like a series, and because of that, I don't think a lot of them got their due diligence of like their focus and their spotlight. The Picos are awesome. I think we released them right before we did NAMM too. And another thing I think was unfortunate about them is you immediately make an association with the size factor being like downgraded. Like surely if it's smaller, then you're losing something. It's not doing as much as, the one before it. But on some of them, it's not the case at all. In fact, it's the opposite. Like say the Pico Pog. The Pico Pog has a tone control and a filter knob, like something that the Nano and the Micro Pog doesn't have. Same with the Pitchfork and the Freeze. So a lot of them actually have enhanced features that are more advanced than its predecessor. So, we're really excited on those. We also came out with a line of like Pico pedal boards, like little Nano ones that can fit about 4 or 5 of them on there. We also sell a really compact power brick. That's about the exact same size as like the Pico chassis. So we've got those up on the site that you can see, just kind of like neat little pedal boards already like made. You get 4 or 5 of those on a board to go play a gig, and you kind of are covering all the bases. So we have, let me just run through them. I might have to pull up. I'm about to look up like
quiz, Dan, see if you can remember them.
Yeah, I'm literally about to Google. Oh, so we have the Freeze. We have the Canyon.
Deep Freeze.
The Deep Freeze, the Pico Canyon. We also have, which is a new one, the Rerun, which is a tape emulation delay. So that's entirely new. A lot of these are, based on other pedals, and there's 2 of them that are new. So in addition to the Rerun, we have the Tri-Burrow overdrive, distortion, and fuzz. So it has a toggle where it can advance each gain stage and become, it just basically stacks into itself.
That's awesome.
Wicked awesome. Then we also have the Pitchfork. We have the platform compressor. I said the Pico Pog. I do not have them in front of me. Tom, what am I missing?
Okay, Oceans 3 Reverb.
That's right.
Is the small version of the Oceans Reverb that has just the 3 algorithms, the Hall, plate, and spring.
Oh, and the
That's
Attack
cool.
Decay. The Attack Decay is, I think, the final one.
And these are all like kind of, I think you did a good job in curating these, because there's some of these where it's like, yeah, this is like a great utility pedal, or this is something that I want to have, but I don't need like the full Monty of. Right.
And also, so the reason that these are all part of a family that we call the NYC DSP line. So these are all DSP. They're all digital. Because we have a few other pedals that are in the same size chassis, like the Slapback Echo, which would be kind of unrelated, right? Because that's an analog circuit. So that's kind of why we released them the way we did, because they're part of a series. And like you said, certainly, like I've seen so many pogs on people's boards, because there's nothing that really does like what the pog does, especially like when you look at like the worship community, and to get that like ethereal kind of organ effect. And it's so funny, because after we release these, I see so many Pico Pogs now on people's boards, like online and stuff on Instagram. And it's because like, yeah, you're getting like, it's shrunk down so small, but you're not losing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, compared to the Pog 2, of course, it's not doing what the Pog 2 does. It doesn't have all the sliders and the attack and all that. But if you just had like a nano Pog on your board or a micro Pog, this, if anything, can do more. Like I said, it has a filter knob, so you can kind of adjust that, and not just a blend.
Yeah. Well, it also solves the problem. I mean, anytime you have to say, boy, do I want to spend money on a utility pedal, like a compressor or something. Now, some people, especially if you're in Nashville, is like compressors, king. But that's not. It's money. It's also like, oh, that's going to take up a bunch of space on my board. I'm already kind of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And this kind of makes it feel like, hey, you don't have to give up everything to put a compressor on the board. Yeah, it's really well done.
I mean, yeah, you look at like, right, the SP compressor, like Beloved, right? Mm-hmm. Super small. I mean, that's just an example of that. But like you're saying, I feel like in a way, like, I think maybe the Pico line didn't get its due diligence or the love it should have, because of the way we rolled it out. We rolled it out quickly. And then also we released so much stuff that sometimes, it kind of knocks the last release off, or out of the way. And now here's a new one. But this line definitely deserved, I think, deeper insight or like a deeper dive into like what it can do, because having, firsthand played all the effects, they really are brilliant. They sound amazing, and they're at a pretty good price point. Yeah.
Well, I think that was a good distinction between the Nano as well, because I think that, the Nano line came out and it was, I've lack of better terms, a lot of them are sort of stripped down versions of the big dogs, right?
Right. Yep.
But to your point, you've actually added features in here. Now you got like such as the deep freeze.
Mm-hmm.
So
the deep freeze now has the original freeze was just one knob.
Yeah.
And it was just your blend between your clean and your frozen signal, right? Or your and then you had a toggle, if I'm not mistaken, the toggle.
The funny thing about the deep freeze, what I always kind of thought was the freeze is the very simple one knob, but then we have the Super Ego pedal and the Super Ego Plus, which does all the crazy, freezing and morphing and synth type sounds.
In addition to freezing,
this deep freeze pedal, the small one, is much closer in feature sets to the big Super Ego Plus pedals. So I almost thought we did it a disservice by calling it the deep freeze. Not that the freeze is an awesome pedal, but it's just the Super Ego pedal is the freeze just with more features in it, and the deep freeze is packed with features.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, this is a lot of stuff to get excited about, and I'm very happy about all the things that you've just released, and you're clearly working on new stuff, which we hope to hear about in the future as well. I truly thank you both for taking the time to walk through some of these things that for the rest of us, we're hearing about these things for the first time and want to know the stories on.
Yep.
We are going to, as I mentioned, so we are rounding third, and the third base coach is waving us.
Go!
Yes.
Go!
And we'll probably score because Angel Hernandez is no longer at the plate, and we're going to go to Tony to get us there.
That's right, Todd. This special segment of the show is a little game we play called Would You Rather?
Do you mind if I tap out for 1 second to go use the restroom?
Oh, yeah. We'll clap.
All right.
We'll clap it.
Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. Tap.
Yes, this week's Would You Rather. One thing that Todd...
This is a tough one considering who we're talking with.
Well, there's a theme here.
All right.
Now, one of the things that Todd didn't mention when he was bumped into Mike while he was eating a breakfast burrito and took a selfie is he whispered in his ear, and Mike ran with this idea.
Here we go.
This was the theme is called the week before Xmas.
Okay.
Now, Mike Matthews,
Yes.
owner extraordinaire.
Yes.
It's right before Xmas time,
Okay.
or as they refer to it at Electro-Harmonix, Xmas.
Right.
That's right.
So, Mike is feeling really generous. It's been a great year. Lots of new things rolling out. He comes over to you dressed as Santa Claus, which isn't really a stretch. I mean, he's got the beard going and everything. He just needs the red suit.
That could be any day.
He wears a red suit every day?
Yes.
If it's a red T-shirt, you could picture it.
So he offers you two choices. One, you get a trip to the secret vintage EHX Vintage Vault.
Ooh.
I said vintage twice.
Yes.
It's twice as vintage.
Yes.
Double as vintage.
It's the really old stuff.
Yes.
You're allowed to go in and peruse, and you can walk out with 2, maybe 3 vintage pedals. Or you get the entire line of the Pico pedals, including the Nano board, the power supply, and he's throwing in some Tour Gear design patch cables to hook all this stuff together with, too, if you can believe that.
And you get the pair of jet skis.
the jet skis?
And that's not all. Tell them what else they won.
That's Bo behind curtain number 2. So, would you rather have the trip to the secret vintage vault and pick 2 or 3 pedals?
Uh-huh.
Or you get the entire Pico line with all the fun stuff that
All right.
goes along with it.
Well,
I'm gonna go ahead. This is an easy one for me. I'm going vintage.
Yeah.
Just because of the dollar mark on those
I
2 or
know.
3 pedals I could get, I could sell one of those pedals and buy, 10 entire sets of the Picos. Probably. I'd get an old deluxe Memory Man. I'd get a 16-second delay. I would.
yeah.
So, and then also, I'm a sucker for the rarities. I am, and I get sentimental about it. So yeah, for me, I would say the vintage stuff. I would pick 2 or 3. However, in this hypothetical scenario, now we're assuming that all of the vintage pedals are available, or only what Mike has available.
All of them.
Whatever's in the vintage vault, the secret vintage vault.
See, me and Tom, we were very keen to what is in the vintage vault. and I think, unlike myself, I don't know if Mike is so sentimental. I don't know if Mike's kept a version of everything around. He might, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
There might be that I'm not aware of. He might have a vault somewhere with every single. But Tom, right? We've seen some rare stuff hanging around. Sure. We have.
Well, for one, I've seen it, and it's actually hidden.
What?
Yes, it is, and it's
in the Bronx.
It is. It is in the Bronx. It's in the third utility closet of the city hall stop. The abandoned rail underneath.
That makes sense.
Well, I guess I've spilled the beans now.
Great,
Shoot.
Todd. Now everyone knows.
Now you're gonna have to move it to the Bronx for sure.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Tony. What are you doing?
As much as I really love the vintage stuff, and I've played plenty of vintage pedals from EHX over the years.
Well, you are vintage.
I am very vintage, like a nice aged cheese.
Yes.
I think I'd like the Pico line with all the stuff, because I think just playing around with all those different varieties of things and having the power and everything, I think I'm going that direction. I mean, it's a shame that with 1 or 2 of the vintage pedals, you could probably, as you said, buy 5 or 10 Pico lines, but I'm not going to be greedy. I just want the entire Pico line.
Got it.
Yeah, and by the way, my choice was no smear at the Pico line.
No smear.
No.
Yeah, the Pico line is fantastic, but I am greedy and I do want the vintage pedals.
Fair play, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I gotta go vintage. There's some, classics from the. To be able to walk into the vault and pick a few things that could be from the 60s or 70s. Probably. I'm a vintage sucker anyway for gear as it goes, so I'm going vintage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Todd?
Well, Tony's on an island.
Once again,
because
I'm always on an
you're
island.
yes. Well, no what. Anyways, so there's we love guitar lore. It is something that in the minute you start getting into guitar gear and your enthusiasm starts to build, it's just part of it, and it'd be impossible to say no to that, especially if you're getting him handed over in the vault by Mike.
Ooh.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's a Kodak moment right there.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you, Tony. I appreciate the Would You Rather. It was a fitting one for these gentlemen.
Yeah.
And now we need to say thank you to a handful of people before we let our pals go here.
That is right. At this point of the show, Todd, is a time when we like to thank a special group of people. These folks are our executive producers. Now, you might be wondering what an executive producer is. Well, an executive producer makes the show possible.
Yes.
How do you,
with their support, they help keep this going.
I'm going to tell them how they can become one.
Yes.
Do you want to become one?
That might, yeah.
I threw you, didn't I? Well, let's just say someone listening out there
conflict of interest.
Yes. Wants to know how to become one. It's real easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts, and I do mean very nice, Clark. And in addition to all the great stuff, and opportunities to win stuff with our wonderful giveaways that we have going.
Indeed.
But in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more. Todd?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
That is correct. So I'm going to...
Do it, Tony. Stop talking about it. Just do it.
Okay.
You're going to shoot. Don't talk.
I'm going to talk first, then I'm going to shoot. You got a problem with that? So, special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Michael Furman, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology, Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi. I combined his names that time.
Yes.
Richard Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Buzz Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, and Tom Brazen.
The OG. Yes.
The OG.
Yes.
But
Thank
wait.
you also. What?
Wait, Todd, there's more.
Oh.
There's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs.
Yes.
These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones.
Yes.
And they wear a fez upon their head.
That is true.
Whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs: Adam Johnson, Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robinson, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio. Is it studio? Yes, not studios. It's just one. They only have one right now. More coming. Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler Rhines, Zach Oswald, and new, once again, Pedro Vasquez.
Yes. Thank you all so very much for keeping this show going, because we love doing it, but it would be very difficult without your help.
Yes.
And boy, did we have to pay these guys off today. Holy moly. Just kidding.
Did you just shout out Jodie Foster at one point?
Jodie Foster.
That's her brother, Cody.
Cody Foster.
Oh, yes, I know him.
Yes. So, gentlemen, where can people connect with EHX, get these amazing pedals?
I would say all of our socials. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. And of course, our website, if you want to go to ehx.com or shop.ehx.com. That's probably where you could get all the news and the down low on what we're up to, what we're dropping, and or you could go into a music shop and just get your hands on some stuff.
Cool. There you go.
The old-fashioned way.
Perfect. Tony?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do, which is making custom pick guards for people. There's great stuff you can buy right there, but shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, what color, all of the stuff.
Yes.
And I might even have some good advice for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chance for you to make your guitar even more yours.
Yes. Copyright. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about the show. Tell us what's up in your own guitar world. And also make sure wherever you're driving or listening to anything, plug in the Valentinos.
Yeah.
And white knuckle a little bit along for the ride, okay?
How do you spell that?
I'm not going to spell it. The Valentinos. It messes me up. All right, everybody. Tom, Dan, thank you guys both. We hope to talk to you again in the future as well.
Thank you so much for having us, Tony and Todd. It's been great.
You bet. Everybody else out there, have a fantastic week and a fantastic guitar week, more specifically, and subscribe. So we lost Tom again. Hang on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hang on.
We can just go on without him. No, I think he might have an internet connection problem.
Yeah. You guys got to pay the bill, man.
I know.
You can't use those batteries that Mike makes everybody.
Yeah, I think that might be the issue. No, I think we're like down in the EHX dungeon right now, and
we are. We work in the office in Long Island City, New York. New York City.
How about that?
New York City.
Cool.
That's right.
Doggone it. My brain just stopped. Hold on. Clap.
Oh, lost them both.
What? That was the greatest pregnant pause ever. You are super thin and crispy. Are you guys in the same area?
Yeah.
We are in the same room, actually. Maybe turn your level up on your...
Yeah, let me try.
I like that. We might go this fall.
Oh. They have back porch screen doors in the office.
Yes, indeed.
I kind of like the idea that maybe Mike's smoking a cigar in a closet behind a file cabinet, but listening in on this. Like there's just a room with one smokestack that goes all the way to the top. Powered by a single 9-volt battery.
That's right. An aged 9-volt battery.
I'm so sorry, guys. I am hardwired to the internet now. It'd be good.
Brilliant.
Well, you sound even nicer now.
Yeah, you're down in the asbestos dungeon.
You're making me look bad. I like the description of thin and crispy. That's what I aim for. How do I sound? I think we're good then.
Yeah.
I think we're cooking with gas here.
Indeed.
I did not have to go to the bathroom. It was the internet. I don't know. We're in the same room.
Don't tell him about all the stuff I said while he was gone.
Yeah.
We're in the same room.
Yeah.
Hey, how about getting a little bit of oil on that door?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
We said it sounded like are you guys on a screened porch or something?
Yeah, the screen door's a little rickety. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you or someone you know have mesothelioma? Oh, and Tony has Tony's got explosive diarrhea today, so he's.
Oh, jeez.
It looks like we lost Tom.
Yeah, Tom got cut out. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm in the cough into the
Quite
mic.
all right.
Yeah, Tom did not disappear from the room. He is still here. I don't know what happened to him. Anyway, let's go on without him. So yeah, like you were saying.
Yeah, in New York City, you can actually every once in a while see a full life real Spider-Man all dressed up running around.
Yeah.
Kids love it.
Yeah, that's and then until there's a couple of them in Times Square, and then they're fighting like, "This is my turf." Hey.
Or why are there two, Daddy? Why are there two? Oh, I'm not sure.
They're special. They have 2 Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man's really fat.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.